Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:35, and Joe Walsh with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Well, start to a chilly week. It is going to be cloudy today with a high of 19. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 17. It is a beautiful -2 in downtown Springfield. And just remember, with these dangerously high temperatures expected, it will create some icy spots in Massachusetts. That is fresh off the desk of the 22 News Storm Team.
I hate when high temperatures ruin the entire day.
Isn't it awful when these high temperatures ruin everything?
You know, sometimes you wonder how long it would take ice to form with really high temperatures.
Well, you know, I think when it gets up to 96, 97 degrees, we are screwed, man.
7:50 this morning, we'll turn things around by offering you a chance to win an Amazon Echo Pop as code word Alexa coming up later on this morning.
Yeah, just what we could all need to warm you right up.
Yeah, something it needs also to listen to all your conversations while you speak in the house.
Well, hey, we're just doing our part.
That and more. It's 5:36 on Rock 102.
Your Echo is ready.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 5:50, and the Scorpions with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dangerously high temperatures out there today, according to 22 News Storm Team. It is going to be cloudy with a high of 19, which is way too hot. And tomorrow, even colder, or even hotter, with a high of 17. It is -2, which is so hot right now.
I got to take off this coat.
Dangerously high temperatures. Just to put it in context, 22 News has on their Facebook page, watch out for these dangerously high temperatures because they can cause freezing on the road. I think they meant to say dangerously cold temperatures.
Are you sure about that?
I don't know.
It's a young crew over there.
Who knows?
Hey, Hollywood Trash is brought to you by, Western Mass Masons for all your chimney and foundation needs.
Foundation and chimney needs.
Thank you.
All right?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Somehow you still care about what's happening in Hollywood. So, from Tinseltown, 3,000 miles away, it's Steve Nagle's Hollywood Trash.
Remember when Weezer released the cover of Toto's Africa back in 2018?
Who doesn't?
Well, Toto guitarist Steve Lukather doesn't think singer Rivers Cuomo even likes the song. I think he did it to take the piss out of it, and it blew up in his face, and now he's got to play it every night. Steve never did get a chance to ask Rivers what he actually thinks of the song. Quote, I tried to reach out to this guy and be friendly, and then it just got weird. I don't want to get into it, but peace and love, I guess. It was good for them, it was good for us.
He didn't want to get into it, but he just got into it.
He didn't want to get into it, but I'm sure he's making money off the fact that Weezer covered that song.
Oh, he's not complaining.
I think he is complaining, in a way.
Well, he's complaining that Weezer may have been mocking them only to have a hit with it.
Yeah, I think he's just...
Listen, Lukather's got enough money. He doesn't really need Weezer one way or another.
He's probably upset that their version doesn't get played as much as that version does now on the radio. Like, if you turn on on a radio station that plays that song, it's always that song. It's
right.
Not really Toto's version of it anymore. You know,
he's still getting cash. Still getting paid.
Listen, I don't think that Tracy Chapman redo by that hillbilly is any good. And fake hillbilly too. He's not even like a real. Yeah. He's just he's like a rhinestone cowboy, I guess you could call him.
But it's probably making her car payment, maybe her mortgage.
Yeah, because she joined him on stage and going, I'm getting on this bandwagon.
I'm taking this shiznit back
because I'm getting the money. Chapel Rowan went viral at the 2024 VMAs when she told a disrespectful photographer to shut the F up. And depending on who you asked, she was either a warrior for standing up for herself or a snowflake for not being able to handle it. Chapel admits that things would probably be easier if she just stuffed her feelings. Quote, I think actually I'd be more successful if I was wearing a muzzle. If I were to override more of my basic instincts where my heart is going, stop, 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 you're not okay, I would be bigger. I would be way bigger. But would she be happier? Would she be cooler? I don't think so.
I don't know how to answer those questions,
No, I just, she is who she is.
Steve. Let her be happy.
Let her be who she wants to be.
She's got her own ideas about things.
What else is going on? Here's a great list. A celebrity's height can be deceiving when you see them on screen or on stage. BuzzFeed put together a list of those who are much shorter than you probably expected. Sabrina Carpenter's only 5 feet tall.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. Dolly Parton is only 5 feet tall. I found that kind of weird.
Yeah, she's. You can put her in a pocket.
Jada Pinkett Smith, what do you think she is?
6'1".
4'11".
Never would have thought it.
Kristen Chenoweth, 4'11". Danny DeVito, I always knew he was short, though, 4'10".
But in lifts,
Yeah.
he's 4'11".
And his wife, Rhea Perlman, 5 feet. She's got
Towers over him.
She's got him by 3 inches. 2 inches. 3 inches? No, it'd be 2.
2.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, do you start at 10 or do you start at 10, 11, 12?
At that age, what does it matter?
Yeah. He's 4'13".
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anita Baker is 4'11". Leslie Jordan is 4'11". Kourtney Kardashian is only 5 feet.
I've heard that.
She hasn't had anything to say about that. Lil Kim is pretty little at 4'11". Rachel Dratch is 5 feet, and Snooki from the Jersey Shore, 4'11". What was that? Thank God TikTok's back, by the way.
Yeah, no
Because
kidding.
I wouldn't have known this information. It was a woman who was talking about how she had relations with, what is his name? The guy on the Jersey Shore.
The situation.
Hang on.
That guy, Paulie.
Vinny from the Jersey Shore.
Right. That was going to be my next one.
This was the first video that came back when TikTok came back for me, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I hooked up with Vinny from Jersey Shore, and he made my throat bleed.
Jesus.
Yeah.
What, do you get like shards of glass on the end of that thing?
I guess so. Well, how do you know she was talking about that? See, that's where your mind... See, this is where you're sick, Bax. You thought it was something like that. Maybe he, fed her some pine needles or something.
I don't know. Listen, I'm just going with what my first instinct might be.
Can we really do without that app?
It's tough.
Real
tough.
I don't know. I mean, if that's the first video that pops up.
That was the longest 7 hours of my life.
REM singer Michael Stipe. Can they really call him that anymore?
Former
singer from REM, Michael Stipe, is calling for a boycott of Meta to protest their part in, quote, helping advance the far right of America.
Okay, Michael.
All right.
That ain't going to happen.
Well, you never know. He might be right about something.
He might be, but you know what?
He was right about getting rid of REM.
I liked him better when you couldn't understand what he was singing.
Days of Our Lives actor Francisco San Martin has taken his own life. He died at the age of 39. He was Dario Hernandez. This is like
after me.
We missed that whole thing after the 1990s, I think.
Yeah.
I think I stopped watching it probably around 98, 99.
I'm not too far behind you.
Still a sad story, though. He's Francisco San Martin, a soap opera actor known for originating the role of Dario Hernandez, died on January 16th. He was 39. In 2017, he also had an arc on CBS's The Bold and the Beautiful as Mateo, a handsome groundskeeper for Forrester Manor, who soon becomes involved in one of the villainous Sheila schemes. I am totally removed from the plot line of that show, and I'm kind of sad about it because it's like FOMO.
You've got a lot of catching up to do.
Fear of missing out. I missed out on almost 25 years of dialogue on that show. But I bet you could go back and start watching it and start piecing it together, and within a week you'd probably know where you were.
Right. You might be right.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you've missed a whole generation of plotline.
Kim Kardashian has dropped some hints in the new Kardashians trailer that she may be dating someone, and it's serious enough where she's talking about making, quote, him unquote, his own closet.
Well, she must have something to say.
Oh my God, the time I gave a guy a place to put his junk was when Ray J filled my knob holster with his never-ending hog stopper and that sex tape you can purchase on YouPorn for $39.95.
The never-ending hog slopper?
Hog stopper.
Hog stopper. Gotcha. Caitlin?
Never had one of those?
I just remember the ever-loving gobstopper, and I assume it's a different confection.
Oh, I once gave one of those to Slugworth.
Caitlin?
I never got that done and dirty with your mother, Chris Kim, but we once had friends over for an evening of some participation games.
Well, how'd you play?
First, we warmed things up with a little game of poop shoots and splatters. Then it was time to spin the wheel of pleasure and play Drink It, Pink It, or Stink It.
I love that game.
Oh, it's one of my favorites. And finally, we finished the night off with the blindfold game where you have to guess which organic fluid made such an unbelievable mess. And that would be Nipley's Relieve It or Nut. Relieve It or Nut. And there you go. And that's your Hollywood Trash on Rock 102.
You're a mechanic, ready to shift your... And after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, that's it. The college football season is officially over with the number 6 Ohio State Buckeyes winning the national championship over the number 5 Fighting Irish at Notre Dame, 34-23. Oh, man, what a thrilling season of watching overpaid college-level athletes compete at the highest levels just as the next academic semester is about to begin. The thrills, the excitement, the large sums of cash that are proportionally divided amongst the participating programs. Oh, man, these are exciting times. How much money are we talking about? Well, according to reports, each participating school in the 12-team college football playoff received $4 million apiece. The teams that advanced to the quarterfinals received an additional $4 million payout. Once the remaining 4 teams advanced to the semifinal round, each of those teams pocketed $6 million. Last night, Ohio State and Notre Dame both received another $6 million payout. That means between the two, both teams will pocket $20 million in prize money. Plus, each playoff team gets an additional $3 million for expenses per game, meaning that Ohio State and Notre Dame both accumulated another $12 million in expenses. Now, here's the catch. Ohio State will have to share some of those earnings with the rest of the Big Ten Conference. Notre Dame is not affiliated with any conference, so they get to keep the money for themselves and still have the audacity to charge students $85,000 a year to go there. So, even by losing, it was Notre Dame who was the ultimate winner. That is, unless you're there for an education. In that case, you will not feel any significant financial benefit of the $32 million that Notre Dame just received for losing the national championship. On the other hand, neither will the kids at Ohio State, who are going to be spending $54,000 a year no matter what happened last night. But at least they won a championship that they'll remember every time the Alumni Association starts looking for donations. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. What do you know about snow throwers? The person you need to talk to? Keith at the East Long Meadow Rockies. Keith is an expert selling and servicing Aaron's throwers and Ego battery-powered snow throwers. Good people like Keith and rock solid service at every Rocky's Ace Hardware location. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch. Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. 6:13 in Blue Oyster Cult with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Lovely day today. Cloudy with a high of 19. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 17. It is -2, and according to 22 News Storm Team, these dangerously high temperatures can cause some problems for people.
I had to take off my shirt. I'm so hot.
You know, it's funny because that was the first thing when I opened up, what is this, Kuckerberg's Facebook page this morning. Where was it? Yeah, dangerously high temperatures are going to cause problems with dangerously high temperatures expected, it will create some icy conditions across western Massachusetts.
Hot temperatures tend to do that.
How about that?
I know.
It's -2 right now in downtown Springfield.
Ooh, is it warming up?
Well, I mean, if Nelly could fit in here with it hot in here, that would be the perfect song to describe what's going on outside right now.
Yeah, not for nothing. When I left the house this morning, -4. 22's got I don't remember her name. Seems like a very nice young lady. She's standing outside. It's saying -7.
Oh, she's cute and toasty.
I would not let a reporter hang outside where the temperature is -7 and the wind chill's like 35 below. I probably would.
You know what?
This poor woman's gonna freeze parts of her body right off of her body, and then she's gonna wind up suing her employer for putting her in a hostile work environment.
She's got some thermal gloves on. She's gonna be fine. Listen, I couldn't find my gloves yesterday, and I wound up using, thankfully, those Mayflower Marathon oven mitts, which I have 2 of.
Well, you brought your kids.
Yeah, I know, but I got 2 of them, and I put hand warmers inside of them, and I used them as gloves yesterday to do the snow blowing in the driveway. It worked out perfectly.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's
see?
terrific.
You got to improvise sometimes.
I don't
even know where the hell my gloves went to.
I didn't even think about using the oven mitt. Probably should have.
What, did you use anything? Did you even go outside yesterday?
Yes, I cleared off cars. I cleared off my car. I cleared off my wife's car.
What about the snow?
Oh no! We're gonna let the extremely high temperatures today melt that thing right off the driveway.
I thought you fired up the snow blower,
dude. I have wrenched my back in the last month, like wicked bad. Like I'm in a lot of discomfort right now.
So did your wife go out and use the snow blower yesterday?
No, neither one of us did. That's only a job that I'm qualified to do, apparently. So no, I'm not going to put her in harm's way with that big heavy machinery. So it didn't get done because my back is like screaming at me right now. And I mean, it's a great machine, but you still need some torque to turn it around.
You know,
I'm completely incapable of torque.
I was watching Curb Your Enthusiasm the other day, and it was the episode where Lucy Liu finds Larry unattractive because then he injured himself. Is that happening?
No.
Is she finding you less attractive that you can't do the manly things around the house that most men can do?
She's not leading on.
She's not.
She hasn't said anything yet. But it's possible.
Yeah.
But so far, nothing.
Are you okay? I think maybe you need a break. Maybe you need to relax a little bit. Get some sleep.
I haven't heard that one either.
Friday night, I went and saw John Rudnidzik at MGM.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, man, that was probably one of the best comedy shows I've seen in a very, very long time.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. Because, well, first of all, Brian Plum opened the show, which
oh God,
I love Brian Plum.
Do.
Brian Plum says some pretty harsh things, but he always tells the audience, "You're not going to like this," but, and then he goes into this, these. I can't even repeat the jokes that he says.
Do you ever hear people say that he's the kind of guy that says what everyone else is thinking?
Yes,
he's not.
Yes,
nobody's that twisted to think that way.
What? I don't know. There are some people that are twisted to think that way.
Not all at once.
No, not all at once, but it does. He makes sense when he talks. When he makes you think a different way. That's the whole thing about comedy.
Yes, he does.
So he opened the show, and then this other, I don't know who this other guy was, but he came out. He was all right. He probably did about 15 minutes. And John Rudnidzik, now he was on Curb Your Enthusiasm season 11 when he played young Larry on the show.
Right.
And I hated that character, and that just makes him a good actor because that's what you're supposed to do. If you can make people believe that you are really such an a-hole like that, then he did his job. Well, he comes out, and he talked about this during the interview that we did with him last week, that he does a lot of improv. It's a lot of improv. He did the whole Dirty Dancing thing. Basically what he did is he comes out, he has a set of material. You can tell how he has a set of things that he's going to get to.
Mm-hmm.
But also, he interacts with the crowd throughout the entire thing. And he does it and the show was an hour and a half long, which was kind of.
Don't they have like a?
I think MGM was a little upset that he was there. Remember how
I was going to say they have a very hard out.
Yes, because they have employees that they have to keep paying to be there. He was there so long he wound up selling his merchandise out by the ice rink.
Oh my God.
Because he wasn't allowed to stay in there and sell the merchandise there. But he comes out and he's interacting with the audience as he's doing his improv thing, and he's making all these jokes about Springfield. And, learning about Springfield from the people in the crowd.
Okay.
And at the very end, and again, he was a groundling. He was part of the Groundlings. He did a lot of improv. At the very end, he said, all right, let's recap our night together from all the memories we made here today. And he starts playing Sarah McLachlan's I Will Remember You. And he mime acts everything, all the references from all of the people that he interacted with throughout the show. He mime acts it out on stage. So it's probably one of the ultimate callback, I would say, that he was mimicking everybody in the crowd that he had interacted with, and everybody got it because it wasn't even one of those shows. As long as it was, I didn't care. You ever like sit there and go, oh my God, when is this going to be over?
Most of the time, yeah.
This was like, oh my God, I hope this doesn't end soon, because it was like one of these captivating, and everybody, I don't even think there was one person that got up and left during the show. It was that good. And I thought I was very impressed, and I think, we could probably have him back on the show sometime when he wasn't so he was kind of long-winded during the interview, because I talked to him after the show. He was under the impression that we were doing some kind of online podcast thing.
Oh, okay.
That's why he went on for so long, and we had to cut that interview down to nothing. So, but I talked to him after the show. He was very grateful, and
oh, cool.
Yeah, he wasn't the jerk that I saw on TV. Can you imagine that people on TV act?
I had no idea.
Yeah,
I just thought it was a natural extension of their own personalities.
But it was a great show.
That's
and,
awesome.
And if you ever get a chance to see this guy come back through again, I highly recommend it. And then on Saturday, we did the show with Cody Montaigne at the Elks Club over in Westfield.
Yeah,
we raised like $6,000 for that a bed for every child organization.
That's pretty good.
So thanks for everybody who came out to that show. That was a great night. Everybody was into it. It was a pretty good crowd.
How many sleep number beds can you buy for that kind of cash?
Less than one. Which I did make.
Some kids got a great night's sleep.
I did make reference to that, but I also, these beds are about $350 a piece.
Yeah,
but that includes all the materials, the box spring and the mattress, and then people. You have to have money to run an organization like that. So, where somebody said to me, $350 for a twin bed? Are you kidding me?
Dude, that's what it costs.
Well, I mean, you could go online and buy one for $150, but you're talking about the basic frame. These are actual, decent beds.
Twin mattresses, even if you bought them at, Costco, is going to cost you at least
$200.
$250.
Yeah. So,
and you're not even talking about a frame or a box spring.
No. So I appreciate everybody that came out to the show, and we had a great night. So there you go.
It's just about 6:23 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
When you talk to your friends...
And Lenny Kravitz with Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Liam Neeson will have the full forecast for you this morning.
Bourbon Barbecue and Blues is sold out, as you know, but we do want to thank our sponsors, Aquapump, Dave Miter Exterior Home Improvements, Nor'easter Organic Life Hydroponics, and the Log Cabin. But most of all, we want to thank all of you that paid attention and bought your tickets early before they ran out. Stay tuned for more exciting events coming up in 2025. From Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
I really think we should be shaming people who didn't get those tickets. I had a couple of people reach out to me over the weekend. Hey, is there a couple of tickets laying around there? No, there's not.
Yeah, I think we should shame people, because it's not like we didn't tell them in advance, hey, this event's going to sell out, so don't wait until the weekend or two before.
But there are some people who just can't afford to maybe do it at the time. I mean, it's around Christmas time, and
but the people that are coming up to you and say, hey, do you got any extra tickets? Those are the people I want to mock. If you can't afford it, I'm not making fun of you. Some people can afford it, some people can't. It's the people that want you to come out, be like a walking ticket master.
Well, I'm glad we're building relationships with the listeners. That's what we're doing here.
It's okay to swat a few away.
Hey, do you want to laugh?
Yes.
Let's laugh.
It's Bax and Nagle's Joke of the Day.
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you.
On Rock 102.
I make you laugh.
Springfield's Classic Rock.
I found a book on erotic punctuation.
You did?
Mm-hmm. It's called the Kama Sutra. Get it? Get it? Kama
Sutra.
Lots of tongue twisters in there, if you know what I'm saying.
Bax and Nagle in the morning on Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
6:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. Springfield police are investigating a shooting that took place on Sunday afternoon. According to spokesperson Ryan Walsh from the SPD, said that officers were sent to the 100 block of Cambridge Street for a shot spotter activation around 3:30 p.m. When officers arrived, they found a man with gunshot wounds. The man is expected to recover. However, he was arrested as well as another person on firearms charges. The Springfield Police Department's Detective Bureau is investigating the shooting, victim and perpetrator.
All right.
That's something you don't see every day.
No,
not at all. Let's see. Crews worked to put out a fire at a school bus parking lot in Wilbraham on Tuesday morning. The fire just started before 1:30 today in Wilbraham at the Wilbraham Bus Garage.
Somebody really didn't want to go to school today.
Yeah, when the 22 News crew arrived, they could see smoke coming from multiple school buses as first responders continued to put out any embers. Is it embers on a metal burning school bus? Or is, I guess.
Well, I mean, you got materials inside the bus that are not metal.
The plastic.
The
leather seats.
The leather seats, the stuffing inside the seats.
The Wilbraham Fire Department states that 4 buses were on fire. Due to that fire, there will be a 2-hour delay for the Hamden-Wilbraham Regional School District. I guess they can get those buses fixed in 90 minutes.
Well, I mean, just I'm sure they probably have extra buses they use just in case.
Yeah. As of right now, Boston Road in Wilbraham is closed in front of the Big Y, and that is near 2043 Boston Road, which could impact your morning commute. So if you go that way, don't go that way.
So between that and the school buses, Wilbraham's got their hands full today.
Yes, they do. The cause of the fire is being investigated. 22 News says they will continue to update this story as more information becomes available. They're also calling for dangerously high temperatures for this ice and snow.
Which will make fighting the fire very difficult.
Well, listen, you can't...
I mean, obviously, I'm not a fire expert. I'm not an investigator. I pretty much don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But
why are you even saying anything?
Well, just because as the average everyday tax-paying citizen who happens to pay taxes into that particular regionalized school system, my question is, how do just 4 buses just catch on fire unless somebody had a notion to set them on fire?
Well, there's also the possibility that you have these plug-ins. They plug some of these engines in because they're diesel engines. So that could be part of the problem.
I didn't think about that.
So before you go, causing all kinds of panic in the streets, but with your sweeping generalizations and your misspeculations.
Listen, I don't want to go.
Let's wait till the investigation is done.
That's fine. I don't want to go into these conversations cocked at any way, but I just want to say that it's suspicious.
Wait till the investigation is done that we will not hear an update about from 22 News when they said they would.
I was going to say, I'll wait for their update.
They're dealing with these dangerously hot temperatures out there right now.
Meanwhile, they forced Claire Overton to stand outside in the freezing cold, -7. She's freezing out there.
Well, that was the bus she was going to take to school. She's got to be, 17, 18 years old, that kid?
I know. Well, maybe.
I think most of them are. Aren't they all part of the Magic School Bus?
I don't know. I'm sure they're big fans, though.
I think anybody who's ever watched the Magic School Bus remembers the episode where they shrunk the bus down and went into the kid's mouth, and they went flying through the kid's colon all the way to the poop chute.
There wasn't anything wrong with that. It was all educational.
But they didn't come out that way. They wound up turning the bus around and going back out the mouth.
Apparently, there was a toll booth at the end.
Yeah.
You got to go back and get a crap load of dimes.
Which the voice of the teacher was Mrs. whoever played Mrs. Krabappel on The Simpsons.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was. The Longmeadow Police. Longmeadow.
Their Meadow Police.
Yeah, their Meadow. Arrested 3 individuals on Saturday night following a search and seizure of illicit drugs and a hoax incendiary device. The Longmeadow Police said that around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday, Longmeadow officers were joined by the Mass State Police and members of the DEA at a home located on 87 South Avenue to search for alleged drug activity. While investigating, officers learned that the occupants of the home possessed a homemade bomb. A ba?
A bomb.
No, not a ba. A bomb. The Longmeadow Police Department activated the Mass State Police Special Tactical Operations and EOD teams upon entry for safety measures due to the nature of the search. Officers removed 3 occupants from the home while searching, and an item that looked like a bomb was found. It was eventually deemed to be a hoax. Well, what does that mean that looked like a bomb? Did it have was it like road flares tied together with an alarm clock on it and a wick?
Or was it a large cannonball with a wick on it?
Right. Yeah, right. Bowling ball. A bowling ball with a candle sticking out at the top of it.
With TNT written on the side of it.
It was just an AC/DC album.
That can happen.
Longmeadow police said that officers also found evidence of illegal drug use and possession during the search. All 3 occupants were arrested. 40-year-old Michael Mercadante of Longmeadow, 33-year-old Jamie Ross Mitchell White of Greenfield. That's a lot of names to have for one person.
It's a little pretentious name, isn't it?
Yeah, you think you're 33 years old. You think at some point you would have went down to town hall and said, "Can we just Jamie White? Can we just eliminate the other 2?"
You have any idea what a monumental pain in the butt it is to change your name legally?
Well, I mean, if you have the Ross Mitchell, maybe it's like an homage to your family name. Mm-hmm. But you've disappointed all your family, so why would you at least go with the Jamie White? In that way, it's kind of like a John Smith kind of name.
I would imagine after an arrest like this, your whole family is just dying to distance themselves from you as much as possible.
Perhaps. And Bobby Ann Hurley of Granby. Bobby Ann, what were you doing out in that Longmeadow with all them rich folk out there? I was dealing drugs, Mama.
Well, at least you hanging out with a higher caliber of people.
Bobby Ann Hurley, you get your ass back here to Granby. Yeah.
I'm so glad I was your only first phone call.
Oh, man, just yesterday you were a little whippersnapper making meth in the trailer park, and now you're in Longmeadow on the streets paved to gold. Bobby Ann, we're so proud of you.
Where else can you get an 1,100 square foot home valued at $339,000 on Realtor.com?
And you gotta sell drugs. There's little property taxes out there are like $12,000 or more.
Oh, shoot, they're going to get you one way or another.
Shucks. 2 Canadian geese that were found dead on the flagship University of Massachusetts campus have tested positive for bird flu, the university confirmed on Monday.
Well, they were holding Kleenex in their hands.
Well,
or in their wings.
Theraflu, they were carrying that around.
Popping zinc like it's no one's business.
Was it Plavix? What's the stuff that they take? What's the stuff that you? What's not Plavix? What is it? It's stuff that you take. It's kind of like it's a flu thing.
What's
the name of that flu thing that's supposed to keep the symptoms down?
Oh, it's not Zyrtec. It's something like that.
Anyway, the geese are the first known cases of the highly...
They're swabbing their beak with the Zicam strips.
All right, just stay still. We're gonna swab your beak. 2 Canadian, the geese were first known cases of the highly pathogenic avian influenza, also known as HPAI, H5N1, on the UMass campus, according to a UMass spokesperson. Signs have been placed near a campus pond to warn visitors not to feed or touch the geese, and town officials and the faculty who interact with animals have been instructed to take measures to reduce the risk of transmission. Well, if you just put a curfew on the geese, they're less likely to go out and infect people.
Right.
You start saying, hey, listen, the feeding, I know the feeding used to be 24 hours a day, but we're going to only let you get fed up until 9 o'clock at night, and then everything has to close down.
It's a good time it's happening this time of year because, there used to be a time when we used to play softball in town here, and the Canada geese would poop all over the field while we were playing. Now, if they were suffering from some sort of bird flu and carpet bombing the way they did at Heritage Park, you can imagine how potentially deadly that could have been for any one of our players.
I would imagine that would be pretty detrimental to your physical health.
Thank goodness this is happening in mid to late January. And it's a health concern, but from a personal standpoint, I'd rather have it happen now than say like in June or July. Because I'm tender.
Yeah, you are tender. You're
I am.
a tender individual.
It's true.
So they're worried about the geese. Speaking of foul, a 19-year-old man was taken to the hospital Monday after falling into nearly freezing water off Silver Shell Beach in Marion while duck hunting. Right? First responders in Marion received a 911. First of all, I saw kids on the ice the other day playing hockey, which it wasn't that cold yet. It might be maybe today with the
Today and tomorrow it'll be okay.
Yeah, but even then, I mean, it takes a while for it to get that thick layer that you really need, and you could tell.
Had they tested that ice before they went on it?
I don't know. That was I don't know if it was it Hampton Ponds that I saw that. I saw it somewhere. I saw it somewhere over the weekend where I was like, well, that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. So do you let those kids drown if they fall in the ice because they were kind of dumb enough to go out there?
No, you got to go out and rescue them.
You got to go out and save them. It gives the firefighters a chance to use out that fancy equipment they got,
and also to save lives too.
Well, they're keeping people employed. That's what you really are aiming for.
Well, if you don't use that stuff, you're going to be criticized for spending all that money for nothing.
Listen, if it wasn't for dumb kids, we wouldn't have a need for paramedics or firefighters. Don't you think?
It's true.
First responders in Marion received a call around 7:59 a.m. Monday that a man fell in the water from a boat about 200 yards offshore near Silver Shell Beach. Town officials said in a joint statement. When they arrived, the town's harbor master, Adam Murphy, and Police Sergeant Larry Savory, he's savory, delicious, found the 19-year-old who had pulled himself back into his boat but was suffering from severe hypothermia. Murphy gave the man his coat and other clothes to help him warm up. Once the man was brought back to shore, I think I'm going to need audio on this because I think we have some audio for this. Once the man was back to shore, firefighters gave him warming blankets and warming liquids through an IV. He was then taken by ambulance to Toby Hospital in Wareham for further medical care. His condition is unknown, the station reads. The man was duck hunting with a friend on Monday morning, and the friend, a 17-year-old, called 911 when he noticed the man was no longer in his boat. And this is exactly what happened after he shot the duck. That's the dog laughing at him.
I see what you did.
You see?
Yes.
That was the only reason I did that story, was to get the Nintendo Duck Hunt theme song in there and the dog laughing when you missed the duck. That dog was a real son of a bitch.
I'll tell you what a bad dog.
He was a bad dog. Your Pioneer Valley forecast today. Watch out for dangerously high temperatures, according to the 22 News Storm team. Cloudy with a high of 19. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 18. It is a beautiful -4 in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 6:53. And the Rolling Stones of Bax and Nagle and Rock 102.
Dangerously cold temperatures out there. Cloudy with a high of 19 today. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 18. It is -4 in downtown Springfield.
This week on Baxi's Musical Podcast, my guest is Steve Smith from the Vapors. Remember the guys that did Turning Japanese back in 1979, 1980?
I really think so.
I really think so, too. Anyway, they're going to be coming to the area. They're coming to the Westville Music Hall in New Haven on July 31st, and at the Bosch Center at the Wang Theater in Boston on August 1st. They got a brand new record coming out in March. They're on tour with, it's called the Lost 80s Live Tour with Big Country, Flock of Seagulls, General Public, and a bunch of others. It's a really cool tour. It's an excellent, excellent record. And you can hear that interview with Steve on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, the Rock 102 YouTube channel, rock102.com, and on the Rock 102 app. It's all brought to you by Metro, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram at Chicopee and Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock.
There's some folks on social media that are talking about the dead giveaways that someone grew up as an only child. Can you ever tell somebody grew up as an only child?
Sometimes, yeah.
Here are some highlights. Number one, they cut a piece of cake in two and can't immediately tell which one is bigger. Which... yeah,
yes.
Portion size.
Right.
They're great with people's parents because they grew up chatting with adults the entire time.
That's true.
They struggle with conflict. It's either all or nothing, whereas people with siblings know how to negotiate a share and when to pick your battles. I don't know about that. I had 4 other siblings, and there was plenty of battling going on and what to battle over.
There were 5 of you. Were the first 4 kids able to get through things a little easier than you?
No. Matter of fact, today I'm kind of like the Gestapo of the whole family, and I gang the other ones up on 1 or 2 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's an imbalance of power.
Man, you got it lucky.
Yeah, hey, that's what we do. That's what happens when you have the youngest child 8 years behind the rest of them. They leave their Halloween candy out in the kitchen because a kid with siblings ain't gonna do that. They get unreasonably angry about group punishments, like, I didn't do anything wrong, so why me? People with siblings are more nonchalant about it.
Is that true? I didn't even know.
I don't know. They eat their food leisurely.
As opposed to having to rush.
Like survival of the fittest.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. Some of them said their roughhousing skills are below par. They have a stronger aversion to gentle bullying.
They're not really good at horseplay.
No, because
when your dad says, "Hey, no horseplay by the pool."
They haven't had anybody to mess around with.
Right, to be horsing with themselves.
They're more independent and can do jobs that should take 2 or 3 people by themselves, but without having constant competition, they're actually slower at most things than people who grew up with siblings.
That's a good point.
They get up and leave a room without saying anything or announcing where they're going.
Okay.
They talk to themselves a lot.
Right.
That could also be a sign of some other things going on.
True.
Too. They still have toys and things from their childhood.
Yeah. Nah, most of my toys are gone.
Someone said they don't guard themselves, like the stomach, the kidney, the groin, etc. when laying down. Like my cousin will just lay like a starfish on furniture, but if I died, I'd be punched right in the nutsack. It's true.
That is true.
Now, you had a sister, right?
Yeah, but we're 7 years apart.
Right, but there's still some rivalry there at some point.
Not too much rivalry between the two of us.
There had to have been some sort of upsetting things that...
I think probably when we were real young.
Yeah.
Maybe, but I mean now.
Did you feel like you needed to take the role of a parent at some point throughout your relationship with your sibling? Because that's how I feel with my siblings.
I would say no,
yeah,
but she would probably say yes at times.
No matter how old we are.
Right.
And I'm pushing 50 now. I'm 46, and they're all in their 50s.
And they still see you as a child.
They still see me, and they still treat me like that, too.
Well, you haven't done a whole lot to refute that claim.
Listen, I made a woman empty her purse the other night at the Elks Club, and she had penis mints in there. And she was well in her 60s, too. So, I'm just pointing out the thing. It's funny. It's funny when people have things like that.
Of course it is.
Yeah. You can call me a child if you want, but everybody's going to laugh at somebody who's got penis mints. I was looking for Vela mints. She had penis mints. Times they are a-changing.
Did it freshen her breath?
Well, it did something to her.
It's 6:58 at Rock 102.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Winter Storm Headquarters, before and after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Hey, remember a few years ago when the Golden State Warriors appeared to be the most dominant team in the NBA? Steph Curry leading them to the NBA Finals 5 years in a row, winning 3 out of those 5 appearances and winning the championship again in 22. I know I certainly have some vague recollections of that happening, but of course that was a very long time ago. Why am I bringing this up? Because last night the Golden State Warriors got hammered at home by the Boston Celtics 125-85. Now, I've done all the complicated math. That's a point differential of 40 points. That's right. I said 40 points. Even checked the math twice just to be sure I was seeing what I was seeing. That loss represented the biggest, fattest blowout the Golden State has had at home since January 15th, 1985, when they got their asses handed to them by the Dallas Mavericks at home by a score of 149-104. That, my friends, was a difference of 45 points, and I checked my work twice on that one, too. Folks, the whole point of playing at home is to obtain an advantage playing before the hometown crowd in familiar surroundings. Losing a game by 40 points at home is a humiliating spectacle. The fact that it happened when the Boston Celtics flew into town only makes it that much more special. But when you're on the business end of an old-fashioned ass-whooping, you tend to point fingers. In this situation, a case can be made that the Golden State Warriors were shorthanded due to a long list of injuries, but yet you still lost at home by 40 points. Is it because they stink? Or is it because they just ran into the human buzzsaw known as the Boston Celtics, who, I should point out, have only lost 5 games on the road this entire season? I'm going to go with both options. And while 40 points may seem lopsided to some, I'm going to submit that it might have been worse if the Celtics didn't ease up at the end of the game, having scored 43 points in the third quarter. No, sir, that wasn't just a blowout. It was a thing of beauty. And with any luck, they'll do it again tomorrow night against the Clippers. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. $20 gets you a 10-piece Milwaukee screwdriver set. It's the $20 tool sale at Rocky's. Rock solid deals on hand tools, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Craftsman. We're talking tools. We're talking about Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock.
Rock 102, Springfield's classic rock. It's 7-11 and the Eagles with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Dangerously cold temperatures out there today. Cloudy with a high of 19. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 18. It is -4 in downtown Springfield. How about that? Huh?
-4.
A little chilly out there. Are you ready for another round of AITA?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. You want to tell everybody what AITA stands for?
It's Am I the A-hole? Which shouldn't it be AITAH? Or is a-hole one word?
I think technically it's all one word. It's a compound word.
Tipping. How about this one about tipping? You ready?
I'm ready.
Am I the a-hole for not tipping 20% on a $500 hair appointment? First of all, before we even go any further, you're an a-hole for paying $500 for a haircut. I know what you're thinking. Of course I'm an a-hole, because who doesn't tip 20%? Hear me out. I've been going to the same hairdresser for 10-plus years, and she was still an apprentice studying for her license. Back then, I paid $50 for a full highlight. It was amazing. But obviously, as she got better at her job, her prices increased, which is fine, and I expected that. But as I got older and gained more responsibilities, I started seeing her when I was 21, I couldn't afford to spend a lot of money on my hair. So I switched to getting it done 2 to 3 times a year instead of going somewhere cheaper, because I love her so much as a person. She's always done a great job. The last time I went was in July. I paid $300 for a full highlight and a cut before a 20% tip, which was $60. She mentioned that her prices would be probably going up, but I guess I didn't think much of it. By the way, I always tip 20% no matter what, where I am. I promise. When you say I promise, that means you don't.
Yeah, which means you're a liar.
I went to get my hair done yesterday, and when I checked in, the receptionist told me that my stylist had been promoted by the salon, and her prices had increased again, which is fine, because I was expecting to be like, $50 at a time like it had done in the past, which is my bad, because I guess I should have asked, but I didn't. She did my hair. It looked good at the end as usual. She also had an assistant this time, which she hadn't had before. Her assistant washed and blow-dried my hair, which was totally fine and good. I said goodbye, and I was about to go on my way and went to pay. That's when the receptionist told me the total was $500 for my usual highlight and cut. I was completely shocked. I discreetly did the math on my phone and saw a 20% tip on that would be $100 on top of that massive amount. I was panicking and trying to keep my cool at the same time. I honestly don't know what was going through my mind. I was just shocked. I wrote $60 for the tip and then left. Ever since then, I've been thinking about it. I feel terrible, but at the time, I couldn't afford that. Should I start seeing a new hairdresser if I can't afford the 20% tip anymore? Oh, and by the way, I did some research and found out her salon raises prices after promotions by percentage, not a flat dollar amount, so that's why it increased so much.
Gotcha. I think it's hard to say who the real a-hole here is.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say if you spent $500 on a haircut, no matter who does it, well, that's on you.
$500 is a ridiculous amount of money.
There's other people in the world that can cut and color hair.
What about super cuts? What about great cuts? What about all those struggling artists out there?
Listen, I got a Tony's Famous here in East Longmeadow. I never spend that. I don't think I spent $500 on haircuts an entire year.
What would a woman spend there, though? That's the difference. You're talking about male and female. You don't get yours styled. You don't, it's not like you're getting highlights done. You're not getting all this fancy junk done to yourself.
I haven't seen the pricing list per se, but I'm sure it's probably, if there is a difference, it's probably not that much difference just for the cut.
How obsessed are you with your appearance that you need to spend that much money?
Are you asking, or is that a rhetorical question?
It's a rhetorical question.
Oh, well, because if you're asking, the obvious answer would be, well, look at me.
I find myself to be a pretty lucky person, and I'm grateful that there's certain things I don't have to do, because you have to accentuate the positive, Bax.
Of course you do.
I have no hair. I don't have to worry about that. I used to go to that Tony's barbershop to get the trim done on the beard, and then they used to stick the Q-tips in my nose with the wax on it, and they pull it out, and it looked like a troll doll.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
As good as that feels, I also felt I'm wasting money on that. For a guy like myself, I can do these things at home. I can get a nose hair trimmer. I can do things that, although it feels good to do so, it's also not a necessity for me that I need to spend that kind of money on it.
See, and I understand that. You're a guy that can brush his hair with a sponge. But for me, I'm hairy high and low. You should see me. I got a luxurious head of hair. This mop has got to get cut. And I'm quite overdue.
I know you're overdue, but how much does it cost you to get your haircut done?
I think
$30 maybe.
About $30.
That's not that's not reasonable.
Totally reasonable considering what a great job the hair slayer does.
But these people who spend over $100, I get that these chemicals cost a lot of money and all that stuff, and that's fine if you can afford to do that.
But $500.
But $500 is a little ridiculous. I mean, I know that the stylist has to eat too. But
she's eating $500 more than you will.
But also, if your salon is charging that much money for you to, because they rent the spaces, I believe, isn't that
It depends on the place. But yeah, a lot of places you rent the chair.
Yeah, I think that's a ridiculous amount of money for somebody to be paying for that kind of thing. I mean, is it really worth looking that good when you could probably do things?
Look, at $30, I'm getting the best haircuts of my life. So I'm not going to be complaining about that. If she went up to like $40, I'd still pay it.
Yeah.
And I leave a fantastic tip.
Would you?
I'm a fantastic tipper. I over tip.
What if you got shell shocked and somebody came up and that haircut's going to be $300, and you're like, I got to leave $60 for a tip because you got to tip 20%.
I probably would not spend $300 on a cut.
Yeah.
I'd probably have to go back to a cost cutters.
Yeah,
for that kind of price, I go to the cheaper option.
Who wants to go to those sweatshops?
I don't anymore. Believe me, I've did my time.
Ready for number 2?
I'm ready for number 2.
Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's fiance the real reason he doesn't want to have children? Again, I think some of these might be made up. My 32, she's 32. Her brother's 35. He's been with his fiancée, Emma, who's 28, for 3 years. They're planning their wedding, and everything seemed great until Emma recently told me she was upset because my brother has been hesitant about having children. She said he'd told her he's not ready yet, but assured her he'd change his mind in a couple of years. However, I know for a fact that my brother has no intention of ever having children. He's been very vocal about it in the past, even saying that he'd get a vasectomy eventually, although I'm not sure if he's actually done it or not. I asked my brother if he'd been honest with Emma, and he got defensive, saying it's none of my business, and that Emma will come around to the idea of being child-free eventually. He even said by the time she realizes it, it'll be too late for her to leave me. Ooh.
Oh, dude.
That's called manipulation.
That's very manipulative.
I was horrified. Emma is very family-oriented and has always dreamed of having children. I felt awful that my brother was deliberately stringing her along, so I decided to tell her the truth. I met up with her privately and let her know that my brother doesn't want kids and has no intention of changing his mind. Emma was devastated and confronted my brother, who's now furious with me. He says I've ruined his relationship and accused me of being jealous of his happiness. My parents are split. My mom thinks I was right to tell Emma, but my dad says I shouldn't have meddled. Now I'm wondering if I overstepped. So am I the a-hole?
Well, sometimes it's best not to get too deep involved in other people's relationship. But, to me, the big a-hole is the guy that's not being honest in his own relationship with his spouse.
Yeah, but is it right for the sister to spill the beans on the nefarious plan that the brother had going? Well, she ain't gonna leave me after we get hitched. That's gonna be too hard for her to do so.
Yeah, see, I probably wouldn't want to get involved to that level because it's a very good possibility the wife is already aware that she's being hosed in this situation.
Yeah. I guess so.
You got to have those conversations before you get married, folks.
Yeah, but she did have the conversation, and the
guy lied.
was like, well, yeah, of course we'll have kids, but not right now because I'm working on my master's degree in being an a-hole.
Yeah. See, I think he is the prime culprit here.
All right. You ready for another one?
One more.
Or do you want one? Do you want one?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my sister-in-law back the inheritance money she secretly gave me to hide her double life?
I'm sure this is legitimate. Go on.
She's 29. My brother, who's 35, has been married to Laura, who's 33, for 7 years. They've always seemed like the golden couple, successful, wealthy, and deeply in love. But a year ago, Laura confided me in a secret that turned my world upside down. Laura admitted she's been living a double life. She has another partner, Samantha, who's 34.
All right.
All right. 2 chicks at the same time.
Well, Steve, it's who are we to judge?
But she's in a different state and has been splitting her time between the 2 relationships. Samantha doesn't know about Matt, and Matt doesn't know about Samantha. It's some sort of twisted soap opera, and I begged Laura to come clean. That means 2 things.
Although not in this situation.
Instead, Laura gave me $50,000 from her personal inheritance. Matt doesn't know about the money and begged me to stay quiet. She said she needed more time to figure things out. At the time, I was struggling financially, and while I felt dirty taking the money, I rationalized it as a way to keep my own life stable. Fast forward to now, Laura's lies have caught up to her. Samantha found out about Matt and blew the whole situation wide open. Matt is devastated. Their marriage is likely over, and Laura is in full damage control mode. The kicker? Laura's demanding I return the $50,000 because she needs it to rebuild her life. She says I had no right to keep it, claiming it was only a loan for my silence. This was never explicitly stated. Matt found out about the money and is furious at both of us. He thinks I should give it back because it's blood money. That's a little dramatic.
It's a little dramatic. But you know what? I wouldn't have accepted the money no matter what. I would have stayed quiet until all this happened. But, I mean, to demand the money back after you said, here's some hush money, like a hush loan,
don't
please.
Say anything. Yeah, I know. At least give a little interest in there. You know?
I'm going to charge you 25% interest to shut up.
I've already used most of the money to pay off debt for school, so giving it back is not an option unless I go into debt again. Plus, I feel like Laura dug this hole herself and can't expect me to bail her out now that everything's blown up. My family is divided. Some think I should return the money since it wasn't mine to begin with, while others say Laura's betrayal cancels any obligation. Am I the a-hole for keeping the money Laura gave me to cover up her double life? You shouldn't have taken it to begin with.
Shouldn't have taken it, but the real a-hole here is Laura.
I think, what do they call it? Equally shared holes? I think that's ESH that's the way they word it on Reddit when everybody
shares.
Everybody's the shared hole.
It's 7:23 at Rock 102. $7:32. With Bax and Nagle and Rock 102, it's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. And the big news this morning, Polar Seltzer from Worcester has released 4 new small batch dessert cart flavors. The new seltzer water flavors: lemon meringue, apple crisp, strawberry rhubarb pie, and cinnamon bun.
You know, Steve, I applaud you for making this your top story today. Who doesn't love a good flavored polar soda?
You know what? I miss Dave Coombs so much. I miss doing news that has nothing done with the geographical region of this area, and I also doing stupid news.
Yeah, locally in Worcester.
Yeah.
Please.
They're unburdened by sugar, dairy, or gluten, according to Polar, and like the rest of their seltzer flavors, they're also calorie-free.
Good thing it's gluten-free. I've got a problem with that.
Actually, those seltzers are pretty good. I don't know how do they do that?
You know, I've never, and we should maybe do this, take a field trip one day and go down to the Polar Soda factory and get to the bottom of this. Take a tour.
I think that wouldn't be a bad idea.
How do you make something out of Worcester taste fruity?
Well, didn't we have those blown manhole covers last year near the mailbox bar?
Yes, I believe we did have that problem last week.
Yeah, I think you can make things taste a certain way. But yeah, I'd be interested to find out how they get those flavors into the seltzer water. 293-1021 on the Route 10 Tire listener line. You can text us and tell us how they make the flavors.
Oh, boy, but most people are driving right now, aren't they?
You know, there's a website where you can buy, like, flavorings almost for anything.
Yes.
You can make anything taste like...
Remember those old, the SodaStream craze that was going on back in the 2000s? Yeah, people were buying, like, the SodaStream. And they would, drop a couple of drops of highly concentrated cancer-causing agents right into the seltzer, and it would taste like lime or lemon or cherry or what have you.
But then they got more elaborate, right? Then they get more elaborate with you can make them taste like. Why don't they make one that tastes like Coca-Cola, but it's not actual sugar or anything in it?
They probably did have a cola flavor. I just didn't participate in it.
Well, I'm glad we got to the hard-hitting news this morning.
I tell you what, you could end it now. I'll be perfectly fine with it.
If you're in the Wilbraham school district, you're going to have a 2-hour delay today because an investigation is underway to determine how multiple school buses caught fire early this morning. According to the Wilbraham Fire Department, the first reports came in just a little bit before 2 a.m., and the flames were out before 3 p.m.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it says, according to the Wilbraham Fire Department, the first reports came in a little before 2 a.m., and the flames were out before 3 p.m.
Isn't it 7:35 a.m. now? This is like extinguishing a fire in the future.
But do you see how they're not wrong? Because it is before 3 p.m., and those flames are out now, so they're not really wrong in misreporting the time because they're actually accurate. The mistake is actually true.
So here's a little information that I found out on the Route 10 Tire listener line at 413-293-1021. Okay?
All right.
These were all electric buses. And
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
Exactly.
Marcia Griffith style.
Yes. And somehow these buses, which apparently have not yet been used, according to some people, caught on fire because of the electrical issues.
Where'd you get that information from?
From somebody who appears to know what the hell they're talking about.
Appears to or does know?
It's so hard. That's why I pointed out this came from a listener on the Route 10 Tire listener line. While that is a great service for many in our audience, sometimes the information can be a little sketchy.
Well,
so I don't know if what you're saying is true, but I am willing to say it appears to be true.
It appears it's just like last week when we had the person calling us or texting us saying, hey, I-90 westbound between Chicopee and Ludlow, and it was actually eastbound.
If it's Chicopee from Ludlow, yes.
Yeah. Right. It was the other way around. So you can't really... You need somebody who's actually going to go out there and get answers for you. Which, again, Western Mass News, they weren't lying that the fires were out before 3 p.m.
Right, because by 3 o'clock this afternoon, they may still be out.
I think they may have meant 3 a.m. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and just say that might be what they were getting at.
The person that was talking as a expert in this said the reason why these particular fires are so hard to fight is because they have a tendency to reignite.
Because of the batteries in the buses, the electric buses?
Yes, because of the batteries. And so that would be the challenge.
Oh. So it's like the Cybertrucks of buses that the Wilbraham purchased the Cybertrucks.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wilbraham...
You can't put them out.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wilbraham demanded Cybertruck buses, and the folks at Handon would probably have to pay into that as well, even though they pay a different rate than the folks at Wilbraham.
Well, fortunately, no one was inside any of these buses when it happened. At the time, the cause of the fires is not known other than what we've heard hearsay on the Route 10 Tire listener line. I'm actually willing to believe someone more on the Route 10 Tire listener line than I am to believe somebody that the fires were put out before 3 p.m. today. That's just me, though.
And certainly more than someone who just reported dangerously high temperatures expected will create icy conditions across western Massachusetts.
Oh, I'm sure it will.
That is the other news gathering organization in town.
Grocery store Fruit Fair has reopened after its owners closed briefly to deal with a small fire that broke out on Sunday night. That's the place with the chicken salad.
Yes. Now, what I don't have information about from the Route 10 Tire listener line is whether that store was plugged in too.
Well, this came from the meat case. Did you ever have a burning meat case?
I've had a case of burning meat, but I have not had a meat case burning.
Sam and Jared Newell have owned the mom and pop grocery store for the last 6 years. I was out on delivery when some of our staff called to tell us that there was something in the store that was smoking. Sam Newell said a few months ago she and her husband purchased a new meat case for the store, which offers a deli. We got it from a reputable company, she said, but the security camera footage showed that the fire started in the meat case. I've had fires start in my meat case before. You just get a little penicillin at the doctor's office, you're all good as new a little week later.
Now, is that different than the coin purse or the fig pouch?
Yes. Meat cases are for, you want to store your meat, you put it in the meat case.
I see.
And sometimes it catches fire and could burn you.
You got to be careful.
Be careful of that. She said that her and her husband rushed back to the store around 6:40 p.m. on Sunday. They called the Chicopee Fire Department, and Jared ran into the store and used a fire extinguisher to put out the fire, and he inhaled a lot of smoke, but he is recovering. He unplugged the wires when firefighters arrived. They aired everything out. The fire department said in a post to social media that when they arrived, it was greeted with heavy smoke and a small fire, which firefighters extinguished quickly. The Newells bought the building, which is the site of the oldest grocery store in Chicopee, in 2019. The building is nearly a century old.
Wow.
We do a lot of maintenance for this building, so it felt like a huge slap in the face. Yeah, I can see how that happened, how you would feel that way, but it's also it was a faulty machine. It wasn't
right
due to the faulty electrical work or anything like that. It was just something that happened to do with the
it's a small fire. So are they back in operation?
Yeah, I believe they are. The store is open all year, even on holidays, but it was closed briefly. It was closed briefly that morning as Sam and her husband cleaned out the remainder of the fire's damage.
That's good.
You got to get the smoke smell out of there. When your meat case is burning, that can cause quite a bit of smell.
I don't like the idea of a burning meat case.
I had Fremunda cheese out of a meat case once.
Is that true?
Smoked Fremunda cheese out of my meat case.
Wow, that is in some ways disgusting.
Well,
no, it's just disgusting.
There's
really no way around it.
It's from not getting snipped when I was born. That's how you get the Fremunda cheese burning and you're smoking in your meat case. But the good news is there's plenty of chicken salad for you to go around and eat out of the meat case now. Massachusetts must pay the federal government $2.1 billion over the next decade after the Baker administration mistakenly used federal pandemic funds to cover unemployment benefits.
Whoopsie.
It's only a small error in accounting.
Okay.
Governor Healy, who succeeded Baker in 2023, and her deputies unveiled details of a settlement they reached with the outgoing Biden administration Friday in which the Bay State will repay most but not all of the amount it owed due to the error committed years ago. The settlement saddles the state with a major new cost at a time when budget writers are grappling with a series of other headaches and the unemployment insurance system already faces fiscal problems. Don't they have the rainy day fund? Where's the rainy day fund?
They never spend money in the rainy day fund,
well,
especially
why?
on rainy days, because if you use that money on the rainy day fund, you no longer have enough money in the rainy day fund for when a rainy day comes around.
But just like budgeting a family budget, can't you take some of that rainy day fund and put it towards the debt that you owe?
What you're explaining, Steve, is a modified shell game. You know, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's all the same amount of money.
Who's Peter and who's Paul?
I don't know. But I hear they're friendly.
You know, you're robbing Maura to pay Charlie, and Charlie's robbing the government for everybody. We need to get rid
this
of
is not Charlie's problem anymore. Charlie's too busy running the NCAA.
But Peter and Paul should have had no involvement in it whatsoever. This is really a Charlie and Maura kind of deal going on here.
All right.
With the fees and interest, the total liability surpassed $3 billion. Who said talks with the U.S. Department of Labor reduced the amount owed to $2.1 billion over the next 10 years. You know what I saw? I didn't even realize this. There was senators who got pandemic relief funds. and like millions of dollars worth of them that they didn't have to repay or that's.
Well, that would suggest.
But isn't that like a conflict of interest?
Well, that would suggest, Steve, that there are perhaps some politicians that might be crooked.
Yeah.
And I will not stand here
but
and listen to those outrageous allegations.
But why wouldn't you hold these people accountable for having taken these funds?
Because they would have to be held accountable by other people who may have taken funds from somewhere else.
I don't know. Hey, do you have a bag of drugs on you?
No, I wish I did, though.
Are you sure?
Yes.
This is the third time this has happened in the last year. The perfect gift for a stupid criminal in your life. A bag that says definitely not a bag full of drugs. You remember we've talked about this before?
Yeah.
You can find one for $23 on the internet, but there are others available on Amazon and Etsy. It seems stupid, but that's the point. A 31-year-old woman in Florida was arrested last weekend on drug possession charges for the second time this month. This time, she was caught carrying drugs in a bag that was labeled definitely not a bag of drugs. I think you're kind of...
You're almost inviting problems.
Yeah. This is at least the third time this has happened in the past year. A woman was caught with drugs in the exact same bag back in October. And in July, a woman was caught with drugs in a bag labeled bag of drugs. Well, at least she was honest about it.
At least.
For the record, you're not actually supposed to put drugs in there. That's the joke.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah. In one listing, they say the bags are designed for travel supplies, tech gear, art tools, cosmetics, and more. That's still not something I would be bringing to an airport if you're traveling with the TSA because they're definitely going to look inside of that bag.
Same thing if you bought this is definitely not a bomb bag.
Oh, you can't bring those either?
They have no sense of humor when it comes to bomb jokes at an airport.
Yeah, we were talking did we talk about that story last week about things you shouldn't do at the TSA?
Yeah.
If you become too talkative with the people, then they kind of suspect you're doing something like, hey, how about that weather out there?
I try to keep my conversations down to a minimum when it comes to the TSA line. I want in, out. I want no delays.
TSA guys yelling at people.
I know.
Take your shoes off. Put them in the box. Take your laptops out of your bag.
I got wanded the last time I was at Bradley. Did I tell you that?
You wanded?
I got deeply wanded.
Like wanded Sykes?
No. Like, step aside, sir. And I got patted down.
And what did you have on you?
Nothing. I asked for a second... a second pat down.
Can you do me a second one?
Yeah, and do it slow. And if you could moan a little bit, that'd be kind of nice.
You just wanted your junk grabbed by the guy doing the pat downs. I think that's what it came down to.
Is that so wrong? He's doing his job. That's what he's there for.
Yeah, but think about that. You can do that for free as opposed to going to a place that does rub and tugs. You can get that gratification absolutely free if you just asked for the secondary pat down.
Oh,
I don't want to go through the metal detector. I want that strapping young man to pat me down in the groin area.
Oh, there's definitely something in there, officer.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today.
Warmer.
Warmer. You're getting...
Oh, ice cold, ice cold.
Oh,
warmer.
Oh, it's right there.
It's right under your nose.
Is that a weapon in your pocket? I don't know. What do you consider a weapon? Your Pioneer Valley forecast today. Cloudy with a high of 19. Tomorrow, sunny with a high of 18. It's -3 in downtown Springfield. I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102. Yeah.
102 Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 7:54 on Rock 102.
It's -3 in downtown Springfield. I don't need to tell you how actually cold it is out there, but we're on TikTok here. We're on TikTok Live this morning at Nagle 102. And we're talking about Bax's back problems and the chiropractor he's been seeing, or the zero gravity chair that he suggested. I suggested maybe getting some Percocets from somebody in Wink Wink, that kind of thing. But you, I also asked you, how about I'm trying to help you out.
Oh, I know you're trying to help.
And I suggested Doan's. Remember
Doan's
pills? Doan's backache pills.
I don't even know if they make Doan's anymore.
Well, I'm sure you can get it with some Pamperin and some Anacin on the side. Because you're over there grunting like an old man.
Oh, dude!
And the back, and I'm sure it hurts. I'm not dismissing the pain. I'm just saying. Look at you did that wince.
Yeah. If I got to adjust myself in this very uncomfortable non-lumbar supported chair, then yeah, it hurts. I'm going to make a wince.
And this lady says with the inversion table, it does help decompress your spine. It's not a fix, but goes great with therapy.
All right, well, we'll see about that.
Now we're restricted. Is it because I mentioned Percocets? Is that what
Probably.
it was?
Probably. They restrict you for the dumbest stuff.
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, hey, we're giving you a chance to win an Amazon Echo Pop. All you got to do is I'm going to give you a word, and then you go to rock102.com before noon today and enter that code word for your chance to win for code word Alexa. The code word today is the word Amazon.
Wow.
Amazon.
That's a hard one to remember.
There you go. Your chance to win. Go to rock102.com before noon today from Rock 102 Springfield's Classic Rock.
I already revealed the word on TikTok earlier.
You did not.
Maybe that's why the audience was restricted from getting it because we gave away. I didn't.
No, you didn't do that, please.
No, I didn't. We were talking about you whining and crying about your pain of your back pain.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, it's screaming right now.
Well, again, we can find some Dones for you.
I'd almost rather take the Anacin.
Listen, we get you some Dones and some NyQuil. You mix those two together, I'm sure you're going to have a...
Good advice.
You won't even remember that you had back problems.
With a Benadryl chaser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe some lorazepam. We can mix it. Be like a backache cocktail. You put them in a Vitamix and you're all set. Some apple juice.
I got a back healing smoothie.
Yeah, there you go.
It's 7:57 at Rock 102.
Your echo is ready.
And now, Bax's View from the Couch, brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware, Winter Storm Headquarters, before and after the storm.
Hey, good morning, sports fans. How the heck are you? Well, folks, that's it. The college football season officially over with the number 6 Ohio State Buckeyes winning the national championship over the number 5 Fighting Irish in Notre Dame, 34-23. Oh, man, what a thrilling season of watching overpaid college-level athletes compete at the highest levels as the next academic semester is about to begin. The thrills, the excitement, the large sums of cash that are proportionally divided amongst the participating programs. Oh, man, these are exciting times. How much money are we talking about here, though? Well, according to reports, each participating school in the 12-team college football playoff received $4 million apiece. The teams that advanced into the quarterfinals received an additional $4 million payout. Once the remaining 4 teams advanced into the semifinal round, each of those teams pocketed $6 million. Last night, Ohio State and Notre Dame both received another $6 million payout. That means between the two, both teams will pocket $20 million in prize money. Plus, each playoff team gets an additional $3 million for expenses per game, meaning that Ohio State and Notre Dame both accumulated another $12 million in expense money. Here's the catch. Ohio State will have to share some of those earnings with the rest of the Big Ten Conference. Notre Dame is not affiliated with the conference, so they get to keep the money for themselves while still having the audacity to charge students $85,000 a year to go there. So even by losing, it was Notre Dame who was the ultimate winner. That's unless you're there for an education. In that case, you will not feel any significant financial benefit of that $32 million that Notre Dame just received for losing the national championship. On the other hand, neither will the kids at Ohio State, who are going to be spending $54,000 a year no matter what happened last night. But at least they won a national championship, and they'll remember that every time the Alumni Association starts begging for donations. But hey, enough of my yapping. Sports brought to you by Rocky's Ace Hardware. What do you know about snow throwers? Well, you need to talk to Keith of the East Long Meadow Rockies. Keith is an expert selling and servicing Aaron's throwers and Ego battery-powered snow throwers, too. Good people like Keith and rock-solid service at every Rocky's Ace Hardware. I'm Bax. That's my view from the couch.
Rock 102.
It's 8:11 and Def Leppard with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It's pretty damn cold outside. Cloudy today with a high of 19. Well, it's sunny out right now, but
that's really going to warm things up.
It's -1 right now in downtown Springfield. It was -4, so it's heating up, as the 22 News had put it earlier this morning. Dangerously hot temperatures or high temperatures or whatever they said on their Facebook page.
It's gotten so hot, I feel like taking my park off.
We got a little article sent to us by the Hawkman.
Okay.
Do you own anything
No.
Sports memorabilia or even not even sports memorabilia. Do you own anything that is signed by somebody that is like that is authentic?
I got a Tim Wakefield autographed baseball. That I still think I've got that.
And that was definitely signed by Tim Wakefield?
I watched him sign it.
Oh, so you met him. Was that one of the appearances that we did at those credit unions or whatever?
Yeah, right.
Years ago. So at least that came from him. But that's more of a sentimental thing to you than it is probably to any, because you're a huge Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
and
I'm probably not going to sell that, even though,
Yeah.
God rest his soul, Tim Wakefield's an awesome guy.
Right, but that's something you're going to probably hang on to, and you're not going to. I can't see people who spend so much money on buying these things just to have it.
I used to. You've done this too when you've hosted an auction, like a live auction.
Oh yeah.
And every now and then, when I've done it, there have been these plaques of, could be a piece of turf from Fenway or an autographed football from Tom Brady, whatever it can be. And I'm always surprised by how much someone will drop to get that. I mean, I get it, you being a fan and everything. I mean, sports memorabilia sometimes can increase in value depending on situations. But, sometimes they'll sell for thousands of dollars at a local auction. I'm like, where do these people come from and where are they getting their cash?
That's a lot of money,
Oh, yeah.
To be dropping on stuff like that just to say you have it. I have probably the coolest thing I have is the George Carlin Class Clown album.
Yeah.
That he personally signed for me.
That's cool.
At Springfield Symphony Hall. So I have his little CD. It's not worth anything. The album was in pretty rough shape to begin with.
But it's worth it to you.
To me, it's like, okay, cool. I didn't even get to meet him.
Someone signed it for you?
So technically, it looks like his signature if you match it up with other ones that you've seen him sign. But I was told he didn't want to see anybody in his dressing room, but at least I got to see him perform.
Or he just didn't want to see you.
He didn't. Well, he was always kind of like, he didn't really want to do radio interviews and things like that.
Well, because he was George Carlin. Didn't need to.
Right.
He didn't really have to work that hard to fill up Symphony Hall.
No,
because he's George Carlin, for crying out loud.
The place was sold out, and that was probably a few years before he died.
Right.
But anyway, this article starts out. Jason Kelsey's introduction to his account on X notes that authenticity is hard to find. Beckett Collectibles agrees. The company is alleging in a new civil lawsuit that 1,138 memorabilia items sporting the signature of the retired Philadelphia Eagles center were not authentic, and they are seeking relief in a Texas court. The company, based in Dallas suburb of Plano, Texas, filed the suit against the owner of a Rhode Island memorabilia store and an independent contractor from Massachusetts, accusing them of conspiring to forge and fraudulently authenticate 1,138 items. The defendants' claims were signed by Kelsey last summer. Beckett Collectibles, LLC, filed the complaint on January 14th in Judicial District Court in Collin County, Texas. According to court documents, the collectibles company is suing Diamond Legends, Inc. of Warwick and its owner, Joe Parenti, and Leanne Bracco of Swansea, who was under contract by Beckett to provide authentication services as a witness. If there was another reason not to like Rhode Island...
Well, Swansea's in Massachusetts.
Yes, but it's right next to Rhode Island, isn't it?
True.
It's actually in the Grundle part of Rhode Island.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a bordering town to my hometown.
Yes. The lawsuit accuses the defendants of engaging in fraud, adding that Bronco breached her fiduciary. Fiduciary. She's putting the douche in fiduciary.
Right.
Duty as an authenticator, which was spelled out in her independent contract agreement with Beckett. At issue are items allegedly autographed in June of 2024 by Kelsey, a 7-time All-Pro who retired in 2023 after 13 seasons with the Eagles. According to Beckett, there was nothing authentic about the alleged signing and authentication session at the Valley Forge Casino Resort in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. The company claimed that Kelsey was not at the venue on June 11th, but had been there the day before to do a public signing. Beckett alleges in his lawsuit that Bronco, who was employed with Diamond Legends by Parenti, collaborated with the business owner to masquerade forge Jason Kelsey sports memorabilia as authentic, sell those items at Diamond, and then profit. Court documents noted that Bronco claimed Kelsey signed jerseys, football helmets, and all that stuff, totaling more than 1,000 items on June 11th. And Parenti, meanwhile, allegedly claimed the public signing that Bronco said occurred at the casino took place at a different location on another day.
When you think about this, so it's 1,100 items.
Yeah.
And, Jason Kelsey's going to the Hall of Fame. There's no question about that. But if you've got that many items and they're fraudulent, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that are being spent. And you know what one of the problems is? If you buy memorabilia, you kind of have to be very careful who you're buying it from and the sources, because people will say, well, I got a certificate of authenticity.
Well, how do you know that's real?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, people are sophisticated enough where they can phony up documents that may look like a water-stamped certificate of authenticity that is absolutely meaningless. So you have to really, if you're going to spend that kind of money on it, you got to be aware that there's always some level of risk, even though there are a lot of very legitimate memorabilia and paraphernalia dealers out there that would never do this. But there are some that are a little, how shall I say this, lacking scruples.
This place in Rhode Island clearly looking to make a buck. And who's to say, again, how do you trust somebody? How do you find out who is a true authenticator of these items?
If I showed you, and even if you showed me, a certificate of authenticity, would you know the difference?
No.
Could you say just by looking at, oh yeah, that's fraudulent, or that's legitimate?
Not with the way printers are nowadays, where you can print up anything you want and make it look like it's real.
That's exactly my point.
Listen, I printed up a fake resume. I had to get a job here 20 years ago. You worked at CBS? I misspelled. It was CVS. Yeah, but I got it. Anyway, Bronco and Parenti have conflicting stories on what happened, but one thing remains certain. Kelsey never signed the items. Instead, defendants flooded the market with forged autographed items, which they then sold.
They were sold. They were signed by Jason Clancy.
Yeah.
Jason Kelsey. Totally different.
It's like going to Chinatown in New York City and buying Oakley sunglasses where it just says Oakley sunglasses on it, but it looks just like the real thing. But they were only $5 off that table that guy had.
Right.
According to the court documents, Beckett paid Bronco for authenticating the 1,138 items. After receiving such certificates of authenticity from Bronco, Beckett registered the items as legitimate. So a big-name company got duped by two idiots from Rhode Island and Massachusetts.
Now, if a big, legitimate company can get duped like that, imagine how simple it would be
that's what
to
I'm
dupe
getting
you,
at.
the consumer.
If it's, I've always heard that if it sounds too good to be true,
it usually is.
Probably is. So if you're seeing something, you should really go out and compare item prices too. If somebody's selling something for, let's say, hypothetically, $100,
right?
When really everybody else is selling it for $400 or $500, it might not be as authentic as you might think.
If you're buying something at auction, then all bets are off, because the idea of in an auction is a bidding war, and so you're bidding on an item. But if you're buying it from somebody, you really need to do a little bit of research before you lay out cash for it. Where is it? Where did it come from? Can you compare a signature between one or the other, a legitimate signature? Can you do that?
I have a confession to make. About, 17 years ago, somebody was asking for an autographed picture of you guys, but you were on vacation. So I just forged your names to it and gave it to the guy and said, they signed this.
You bastard.
Yeah, but that's not hurting anybody.
Well, except the person who believes that we signed something for them.
Yes, but I signed it, and I have touched both of you at some point in my, whether it be a handshake or a rub and tug, at some point throughout my career, that the DNA transfer is just as good as the actual signature.
Well, if you're going to take that approach, how do I know that you haven't forged other documents in my name?
Who's to say I haven't?
Well, have you?
I don't know. How's your last contract looking?
It's a little light in
it's
some
a little
areas.
light in some of the areas, yeah. Well, maybe.
I didn't get exactly everything.
Well, maybe then you should have authenticated the signatures on the contract before you had actually submitted it to the company. That's not my problem. Not my problem at all. There you go.
It's 8:22 at Rock 102. 8:28. And John Mellencamp with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
It is going to be, Liam Neeson can give you the full forecast. I will tell you the weather, and I will find you. Whatever his name is.
I'm sure he'll be happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
Hey, later on this week, it'll be a Thunderbird Thursday with the Springfield Thunderbirds. Thursday, we'll have tickets for Saturday's game. It'll include 4 tickets, 4 hats, 4 koozies. Make sure you're listening Thursday morning for your chance to win with Thunderbird Thursday with us, Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Always a good time at the Springfield Thunderbirds.
We got news coming up next on Rock 102.
Here's your West.
8:32 with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102. It's time for news. Here's local radio icon Steve Nagle.
Thanks, Bax. An investigation is underway in Wilbraham to determine how multiple school buses caught fire early this morning. According to the Wilbraham Fire Department, the first reports came in a little bit before 2 a.m., and the flames were out before 3 p.m. When first responders arrived...
Wait a minute.
What?
Slow down on that. Tell me that timeline again.
The call came in just a little before 2 a.m., and the flames were put out before 3 p.m., which is pretty impressive since it's 8:32 in the morning.
I was going to say, we're hours away from this fire being put out, but even if it's put out now, it will still be put out by 3:30 this afternoon.
So they are not wrong when they're reporting that.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So when the kids are getting home from school after their 2-hour delay,
Man,
the buses will be no longer burning.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a misprint. I think it was 3 a.m. I
Well,
think that's what they meant to say.
Listen, we've seen all kinds of misprints and problems with our local news sources today. Between that and they say that high temperatures could cause ice and other delays.
And then, but you said somebody wrote in and said that it was these electric buses that were on fire.
And they're hard to put out because...
Well, they're not that hard to put out. If the planes were reported a little before 2 a.m. and they were put out by 3 a.m. See, this is why we don't know anything.
Exactly. I'm being told by largely unqualified listeners that these fires are hard to put out because the battery involved often reignites, which is a problem when you're trying to put something out when it's on fire.
Then you get that poor kid standing out there from 22 News.
She's freezing.
So she can't get to school today.
Well, she's got a 2-hour. Actually, I don't even know if she goes to Minichog or maybe in the middle school there. But I mean, she's freezing out there.
What high school do they recruit the 22 News kids from?
Well, there have been people that have gone to Minichog over the years. There have been some that have gone from Longmeadow, I believe.
Yeah.
And there have also been some from Springfield high schools as well.
This is how old I'm getting. When I first started working here, I'm like looking at all the chicks on 22 News going, oh, man, she's hot, because they were my age.
Yes.
Now it's like, oh, wow, I'm like the dad now. All right, go along. Go get your little report done before school starts today. You won't be able to take a bus now.
Whatever you do, don't report with strangers.
The buses that caught fire were the new electric buses that had not yet been placed in service. Well,
did I tell you that?
You told me.
I said that, and I took that from some listener that I thought may have been stupid from the Route 10 Tire listener line
because it wasn't reported yet. I don't know who to take information from some. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to.
But the person on the Route 10 Tire listener line has so far been correct.
How are they in the know before the TV station is in the know?
Because they've probably asked the questions long before the TV stations have.
You know what the funny thing is? They updated this story to include that information, but they still didn't change the fact that the flames were put out before 3 p.m. this afternoon.
Now, here's what I fear, because this would be problematic. If they got that information by listening to this show and reported it as fact.
It's all fiction.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, because it's happened before where, like the newspaper or the TV stations didn't get a story. They heard it on our show, and then they wind up reporting it. What I fear is that somebody heard us talking about the specifics of this situation and say, well, if Bax and Nagle are saying it, they must know some information.
They must, and I think that there was some the singing going on this morning over at that bus station.
Star donated nearly $20,000.
Come on!
$50,000.
Where is it coming from?
But this
the internet
determined couple can have a much needed.
I don't understand. This is for the electric buses.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. They were singing this.
I bet they were. Because they're electric buses. Boogie, woogie,
Because
woogie.
they had to explain to the kids how this went on. What kind of buses were they? It's electric! Boogie, woogie, woogie! I just want, on behalf of my generation, I just want to apologize for this giant piece of crap becoming a thing back in the 90s. I can't even do I don't even know the lyrics. I just know that it's electric. Boogie, woogie, woogie.
It's all right, Steve. It's all right.
You know, and I closed out a couple of pages.
Just for that?
Just for that, yeah. There was a woman in, let me see, Essex, Connecticut. Essex mom. Let's see. She threatened a teacher.
A mom did.
Yes.
Okay.
By sending, let's see, Essex mother arrested for harassing teacher.
Okay.
All
What?
right.
Tell me more.
A Westbrook woman was arrested for stalking and harassment after allegedly sending threatening emails to the teacher in the Essex School District. 35-year-old Alicia Davis turned herself in Thursday following an active warrant arrest and linked to an ongoing investigation into multiple instances of communication aimed at a school official. Davis, a parent of 2 children in the district, is accused of sending threatening emails to a teacher. The incident prompted authorities to charge her with second-degree stalking causing emotional distress as well as second-degree harassment. I don't know what the emails said, but to be charged with that,
it had to say something pretty significant.
It had to have said something like bodily harm or some kind of threat like that. Are people... What would prompt somebody to do that so much? I mean, I know that people love their children. Listen, I've had disputes with some school officials,
but you
before,
never threat physical harm.
Well, you can't. I mean, most things can be worked out if you just kind of have a little bit of understanding on both sides of the argument here. But not to the point where I'd be like, oh, I'm going to send this threatening email to my kid's school. Or
What's the old phrase? You catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar.
Yeah, I learned that the hard
way. I know. So if you have a dispute with a teacher, do it the right way and contact the principal, but do it in a non-threatening, non-violent way. That's the way to get stuff done. Threatening violence is only going to make things worse for you.
Yeah, some people just don't get that whole thing.
See, I'm more diplomatic when it comes to these kinds of things.
You are?
If I get a dispute with a teacher, I will always take the cowardly approach and talk to not directly to the teacher, but to an administrator, and I will do it.
Guidance counselor,
a janitor, whatever. But I'm not going to go and directly threaten a teacher just because I got a problem with them.
You're talking to a janitor about disciplinary issues with your kid.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Janitor, what's up with Miss Johnson over there? What's her problem? What's her deal? Because I got to tell you, I'm getting a little bit worked up.
Well, let me tell you something, Bax and Nagle. Your kid was being such a little puke, I poured some of that powder on him. And then cleaned him up with a mop. We should get some of that stuff. Remember that pink powder stuff?
The puke dust?
The puke dust.
Yeah.
The little pink.
Do they still even use that? I don't even know if they use that anymore.
I don't know. I remember watching a kid throw up in the middle of a presentation.
Like he was giving the presentation?
His name was Stephen Wang. It was in 3rd grade, Lakeview Elementary School in Denville, New Jersey.
Uh-huh.
And You know how I can't remember any of the mitigating circumstances surrounding that entire year, but I remember Stephen Wang puking in front of the entire class.
Yeah.
Like that like sat with me. It has sat with me.
Those are the kinds of
30-something years
Of
now.
course, because those are the kinds of visual things you never.
Yeah.
How can you forget a guy? You're trying to get a good grade in a presentation.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's blowing chow all over the place.
He blew it up, and it was a carpeted room.
Oh yeah.
So he does that, and then like the entire room, like everybody is like getting sick to their stomach from just the smell alone.
Like a real pukerama.
And then the janitor coming in, Mr. Perry, and he what?
I had a Mr. Perry as a custodian in my high school.
Well, that's part of the janitorial what do they call those? Like the family, like a
the lineage.
Yeah, a lineage.
The lineage of custodial help.
Yeah, if your last name is Perry, you're probably gonna be a janitor at some place. Anyway, he pours the pink. He comes in and he pours. I just remember it was like, gross. And
yeah,
I could never get that vision out of my head. It's just so it was
at that
traumatizing.
Point, to me, the whole story really is about the presentation.
Yeah.
And what was his final grade on it?
I have no idea. He probably got a pass.
I'd give that kid an A. Talk about visual aids.
Yeah. He was also his dad worked for a computer company. I remember going over to a birthday. What?
A kid named Wang's dad worked for a computer company?
I know.
Go figure.
Well, it certainly wouldn't have been an O'Keefe, or an O'Reilly.
Anyhow.
I'm not stereotyping, but his last name was Wang.
Well, we all remember Wang Computers, don't we?
Yeah, but he wasn't part of Wang Computers. He was part of IBM. He worked for IBM. And he had this computer in his house it was like the first AI kind of thing, which was kind of weird. He was showing us how to talk to the computer. But anyway, I don't know whatever happened with that kid. I don't know.
I hope he got a little bit better at public speaking.
But I don't know if I think the sickness was from the fact that he had to stand up in front of the class and try to present something.
Well, some people get very nervous.
I don't think it was anything to do with his like he didn't have like the flu or anything. He was just
he didn't eat like rotten fruit before he started his presentation.
But because I just remember him shaking when and matter of fact, the presentation was about the food groups.
Oh my God!
And
this poor kid.
Before he could even get to dairy, he expelled it.
Yeah, he got grains, he got vegetables, got the fruits, and then the dairy, and that's what did him in.
Actually, I would have given him bonus points for the presentation if I were the teacher.
I would have given the guy an A.
You just ate lunch. You're doing a thing about food groups. You probably ate all 4 of them while you were at lunch.
And here you are showing it to everybody.
Is the 5th food group the pink dust that the janitor comes in and lays down on the thing to clean it up?
I don't know, but I got to tell you, it's a whole lot more interesting than some kid building a diorama in a shoebox.
Diorama?
Diorama.
Did you ever have diorama?
I've had intense diorama.
I've had my share of. Have you ever had diorama? 293-1021 on the Route 10 Tire listener line. I'm really glad we had this conversation.
Oh, you have no idea.
Your Pioneer Valley forecast today going to be eventually cloudy with a high of 19 tomorrow, sunny with a high of 18. It is 0. Ooh, it warmed up. Downtown Springfield, I'm Steve Nagle, and that's the news on Rock 102.
I wish I'd gotten treated.
Rock 102, Springfield's Classic Rock. It's 8:51, and the Foo Fighters with Bax and Nagle on Rock 102.
I won't get into the forecast, but it's 0, so it's pretty cold out there. What you got? Something going on?
I was going to say, it is very, very cold out there, but it is a Shop Tuesday. This morning, you can get a hot deal, 30% off to Fishtails Bar and Grill in Hatfield. You'll find what you're craving at Fishtails, whether it's stuffed haddock, scallops, pan-seared herb butter salmon, and swordfish tips, fish and chips, and daily specials. At 9 o'clock today on the Shop 30 store, rock102.com, 30% off to Fishtails Bar and Grill in Hatfield. Good luck, and don't miss out.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good. Sounds like I like just the name of the restaurant alone, Fishtails, sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
We have like a system around here throughout our company that they'd like you to read some ads that not always from around here, but from different areas of the country that we own radio stations in. that this company does.
Sure.
And this one, and it's funny how, like, we wouldn't have this around here because we don't have these kinds of things. Or we probably do, but it's not like somebody's advertising for us, but it's big business out in Oklahoma. This is for the Wilkinson Ranch Angus Bull and Female Sale.
Okay.
So I'm gonna record this right now, and because we get money for doing these.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. Right.
$5 you get if they use
$5.
Yeah. Well, kids, the Wilkinson Ranch Angus Bull and Female Sale is Monday, February 10th at the ranch, 8 miles west of DeSmet, 3 south on 425th Avenue. Selling 80 yearling Angus bulls, 80 open yearling Angus heifers, and 11 2-year-old bulls. Wilkinson Ranch uses top leading AI sires like Dynamic, Culmination, and Stock Fund. I have no idea what any of this means.
Right.
But it sounds like they're breeding bulls. But I don't know what that stuff means. Bulls are bred for carcass genetics and finishing ability. Ooh, you want to...
I want a bull that finishes.
Finishes, yeah. All right now. Now that I got you.
Come on now. Enough fun and games, bull. It's time to wrap it up.
Yeah, what do you say you come up and join me at my parents' house on the Cape? And what do you say you wear a blazer so we can go to a wider variety of restaurants? All bills have been $50K tested. The Wilkinson Ranch Angus Bull and Female Sale, Monday, February 10th. For a catalog or information, call, and then they give you the number, or visit WilkinsonRanchInc.com. How about that?
So you're the voice of bulls.
I could be.
Yeah.
I could be. There's no guarantee they're going to use it.
I haven't seen this script. I don't think I signed up for it.
Why?
Why didn't I sign up for it?
You should be part of the email thing unless it all goes into your spam.
It might go into my spam. Junk email. I got nothing in my junk email. Hold on a second.
Yeah. You probably got 1,000 of them.
I probably do. I have no idea. I have no idea. What was the name of the business again?
WilkinsonRanchInc.com. INC, not INK.
Wilkinson Ranch.
Just Google Wilkinson Ranch.
Well, I'm just seeing if I got this sent an email. I got nothing. I got no email from that.
Well, I guess, hey, listen.
I mean, I could probably do a bull commercial as good as anybody else.
I'm sure they have these places around here. There's got to be a place that breeds bull or bull breeding, does some bull breeding around.
But do you advertise?
I don't know.
We're looking for breeding hands.
I used to have a friend in high school when I was in Syracuse. I lived in upstate New York. Her family owned a dairy farm. Right. And I remember going there the one day, and this like big guy, farmer type guy, showing up with he had this truck, and it was full of all these metal containers.
Mm-hmm.
He was dropping off mascot. You know what mascot is?
Yeah. What is it again?
It's bull semen.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And that's I've actually watched the process of that.
Yeah.
How they do that. They take a giant syringe, and then the farmer puts like a half a glove on his body because the cow tends to make a mess.
Of course.
While you're doing that. But I remember
Don't we all?
But I remember this guy like spitting out a big wad of Skull Mint going, just tell your dad, I haven't seen him around, but just tell him I did 80 pounds of mascot there. And I said, what's mascot? Bull semen.
80 pounds? Who is this guy? Rod Stewart?
Well, I mean, they're breeding more cows all the time.
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine that? It's just,
in the town I grew up in,
yeah.
At the time, the town has changed now. Now it's become more like a hoity-toity, bougie suburb. Well, now when I was there as a kid, it was very rural, and there were plenty of people that had cows.
Yeah,
there were cow farms in my hometown.
Hey, it's got to be done.
And I remember, and I was not the farming type. We were not the kind that housed steer and bull. I mean, that was not our deal. But I remember hearing a conversation between some of my classmates about what it took to fix the cow's stomach.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they get all twisted up. And the conversation was maybe the most disgusting thing I had ever heard before the age of puberty. And to be honest, it was scarring.
I would imagine that would be. You know, they have 4 stomachs, those cows?
Yeah, I know. And sometimes they get all twisted up, and the farmer has to
untwist
it manually.
Yeah.
And it ain't pretty.
That's pretty gross.
It is disgusting.
Yeah.
But it's necessary because otherwise the cows will get very sick and potentially die.
Well, I mean, doing the insemination of the cows, it's not a pretty business, but it has to be done because that's how they breed more cows to make more milk. I mean, that's just part of the thing. And where they do it as a hobby for free.
They don't even have to own the cows.
I knew them people from that Massachusetts was kind of a little messed up. You telling me I have to do this for a job and they do it for fun?
Hey, listen, I'm going to be shoulder deep inside a steer. Would you mind holding my calls?
Hold my call. I won't be able to pick up the phone. You imagine losing the phone in there? It's kind of like that Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where he's called.
I'm going to have to use the Find My Phone now.
Yeah. Find my iPhone. My brown iPhone is where it is now. I think we've sunk to the lowest level we could this morning on a Tuesday, so let's move on.
Move on. It's 8:59 at Rock 102.
Your echo